Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to UD7. This is the Saturday tournament we are doing on a Sunday, apparently. How are you doing, Mystical?
I'm a little under the weather, but you know what might cheer me up is exactly a speedrun tournament featuring Kirby's Dreamland, Lawnmower, and Minit.
in a scale, like, what's going to cheer you up the most?
Lawnmower. Always Lawnmower. Is someone else playing Lawnmower?
Yeah,
specifically.
Yeah. As long as it is someone else, it's going to be great. And on screen we're going to have Ghostdeath, Mollyman, Kontos, and Andy Shepard playing all those three games. And if you look at the orange bar, the pink one, and the gray one, you're going to see that it's pretty full. So for Ghostdeath, on Lawnmower, they have a 738 as a PB, which is insane. Like, anything under 8 minutes means, like, very little to no mistake. Kirby's Dreamland almost at 13 minutes, and Minit under 8 minutes, so very well-rounded learning on also those three games, I think.
Yeah, I was surprised learning Minit. I lost like 45 seconds or something to the final boss, but cutting that off, it puts me down at around the 8-minute mark, and I was trying to figure out what happened to the other minute compared to like the world record. I was like, I don't know what happened. It's just tiny little optimizations over the course of the entire run adds up, even for such a short run. So anything under 8 minutes is very impressive, but like this 7:19 that you see here from Mollyman, it takes a lot of work to get those extra 40 seconds.
Yeah, I have no clue how you get there. My PB is at like a 7:45, and that means on every single cycle, every single live, I have to save like 2 to 3 seconds, which is insane. Like, it's down to every single tiny movement and optimization. Mollyman is very good on all those three games. So is Kontos with over 203 points on both Minit and Lawnmower, and barely just there at 12-12 on Kirby's Dreamland. Kirby's has a lot of RNG in the bosses. There's like a theorization around manipulating the RNG. I'm not sure we are ever going to see that quite exactly, I don't know yet. And 12-12 is a very good time. Anything around like the 12-minute mark means that you're doing everything correctly, and maybe you're losing some time, some seconds to the bosses.
I was about to say, get used to seeing a big gap between the top and bottom bars for Kirby, because of the RNG, you know, and you can grind out the really good RNG, but in a race, what you get is what you get. However, it seems Andy Shepard has set their PB during a race in Kirby's Dreamland, and as well as Minit. So, wait, and Lawnmower? Wow, okay. Yeah, strong racer is Andy Shepard. Look out.
Yeah, every single bar is almost that double-edged sword on every single game. Tiny differences here and there, but overall, maybe Andy Shepard is the best racer of the bunch. Mollyman is up there as well, but doesn't have a race time for Lawnmower, so I don't know. And Lawnmower is... I would understand if a runner would say it's the worst game in UD7, and if a viewer would say it's the best game in UD7. It's a crazy game.
It's actually quite simple, really, in terms of how it plays and everything. But it's crazy to race it, to try to finish it. It's crazy in the way that it controls, but we can talk about that in a little bit. Actually, we can take a look at Kirby's Dreamland. I think it's the third time we featured it in one of these little tournaments now. Kirby's debut on the Game Boy. Before he got his copy powers, he was just swallowing things up and spitting them out at other things right in the face. And that's it. Well, I guess you also get your weird breath projectile attack that actually becomes pretty useful and hard to use because you float beforehand and that slows you down. So there's a lot of lag manipulation and a lot of just good old-fashioned praying for good RNG.
Yeah, it has everything you can imagine in a platformer speedrun, like boss fights, tiny movements, lots of optimization, lag reduction, and RNG. Like, it's a strong game. Lots of people have run that game. The world record is at 11:06, and anything in that 11-minute mark is a crazy time. So our runners should be ready or practicing just the final few places they want. The runners are going to feature some different colors because this is the Game Boy game emulated on the on Bezok, so you can swap out all the colors you want. And apparently no one is doing anything too crazy today, but we've seen some pretty weird ones.
So Kirby's Dreamland is a game all about stars. Enemies turn to stars. When you spit them, you ride on stars. But the players are sort of competing for stars today. Why don't you fill people in a little bit on, the player cards went by, but there's some cool stuff that you kind of kit out your card with.
Yeah, you can. One of the best achievement in the UD is to get the most badass player card, and having a lot of stars on it is one of the way you can do that. Gold stars mean you won a tournament, you ended up in first place, and those are pretty hard to get by. Like Jant has one, Little May has one, Devil Tifa has one or two, and we don't do too many of those, so today is one of those opportunities, and it's going to be very, very difficult to get the gold star today. Silver means you ended up in second or third place, and bronze means you finished in 4th to 10th place. So those are fairly easier to get, but still, it's not too easy to end the tournament. We have 25 players, so you have to be like on the best half, and white stars are awarded if you do all the weekly achievements. But the race starts, and Kirby starts like in a very intense manner, because that first level is not easy. You have to immediately remember what you have to do, and Andy Shepard takes a hit there. Ghostdeath missed the start, or we have some stream issues, but don't worry, they'll start. Here we go.
Yeah, and they will be uploading their sort of correct time, so don't worry about the late start or anything like that. We're on to the first mini boss, Poppy Bros, I think his name is. Just one bro though, so also easily dispatched with 3 bombs. It's random whether or not you will get that 3rd bomb right away or some other pattern, so some pretty good luck from these for these players rather. Kantos and Moliman are very close together, doing some damage boosting off of these enemies and just taking very particular actions to make sure that they get through these sections cleanly, while also minimizing lag. It's hard to see how what they're doing is affecting how fast they are going, because that's kind of just the way that lag works. It is the silent killer that will bleed frames here and there all over the place. Actually, in this game, it gets so bad you can really feel it, actually, if you're doing the wrong thing. But they really are saving quite a lot of time just by taking this sort of carefully planned route.
You want to fly the least amount possible, so Ghostdeath in the tree here is really trying to reduce the time they spend flying, and Wispy Wood here has giving very bad RNG to Mollyman, so Kantos takes the lead by quite a bit and starts the second level, Castle Low. You don't want to use that mic, so they're going to swallow it as fast as possible. Same for this bomb, and keep on moving. This level is fairly short and involves a lot of ignoring all those enemies. Here you just can walk under everything, and you'll beat that section like without an issue. And it's all about knowing in Kirby exactly what you have to, where your attention has to be. Like, do you have to kill an enemy or completely ignore it, and you want to reduce lag? So you want to know exactly what you have to do even before entering a room. Here you have to start flying immediately, and those tiny details will make the difference between like a 12 minute and a 13-minute time.
Yeah, that's right. We've got Kantos on the big screen, who is the first one to reach Lololo and La La La, I think are the names of these two enemies. It's trickier than you'd think to grab the box and use it as a projectile. We're going to get a double here. That is very hard to do, so nice. Meanwhile, we got the Kirby strat, or the Curry strats rather, from Mollyman. By picking up the curry earlier in the level and carrying it all the way into the boss fight, you can actually spit fire at these enemies and take them out very quickly, but it is very difficult to get all the way here before that power-up runs out. So it's a pretty advanced strategy. Not many people are going for it.
Yeah, it's insanely hard to get to kill the two enemies, the two bosses with the curry. Just one saves a little bit of time, but Kontos is still in the lead, missing a few jumps here and there, but doing great otherwise. It's faster to swim a little bit rather than flying. Don't shoot the mic, so you swallow it. And Kirby doesn't care. They will handle swallowing so many things. It's okay, don't worry. And it's not the hardest level here. There's no mini boss, and it's all about getting rid of everything that's in your way. But Contest is doing a great job here. Still in first place, but Mollyman is not too far behind. Hard to say where's Ghostdeath exactly. They're dropping a little bit of frames here and there. And Contest, tricky jump here, and then you want to walk just under the enemies. Very well done. Like, it's insane how many things you can ignore and skip in this game. It's like half of the game doesn't even exist and register to those runners.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They are playing on a emulated Game Boy, and you can set your palette basically in BizHawk, so it'll actually let you differentiate between sprites and background layers and make the game look a little prettier, and players are mostly welcome to set this to whichever colors they like. We had a show on this channel way back in the day called Speed Gaming League, where someone said, "Can I do any palette?" And we were like, "Sure." And then they showed up on race day with the most horrid neon pink that you've ever seen, and we were powerless to stop them. So maybe I don't want to say a blanket rule, whatever palette they want, but yeah, you can see there's a little bit of color variation, but they are playing the exact same game. Kontos doing a damage boost off of these horrible exploding enemies, and then doing one of the most favorite strats, I think, in this game, this sort of oblivious walk through mayhem all the way to the door, just one little duck to get under the enemy at the end.
Yeah, I love it. It's so hard when there are many enemies in the game to figure out what you have to do, and when someone gets there and say, "Hey, you can just walk, it's going to work," and you're like, "Really?" A damage boost here for Kontos. And those enemies, those flying hearts, are the worst. They're going to chase you if you try to swallow them, and they're going to explode if you kill them. You have to be very, very careful on bubbly clouds here. Certainly the hardest level in the entire game. Very, very long, and many places are going to try to kill you.
Yeah, it's really easy to make just a small mistake and take a hit for it, and then you make another one and you take a hit for it, and then suddenly you are very close to dead. We have seen a couple deaths in that last cloud section so far. Mollyman and Kontos are through fine. Ghostdeath is about halfway through the stage, Indie Shepherd about a third. And we got a look at sort of Krakow. I don't know what this is.
This is Krakow Jr., I think.
Really? Okay. Well, he's a lot simpler with no RNG, so it is no problem for Kontos and likely Mollyman as well. Yes, there it is. Moving on to picking up whatever this weird star yam thing is that lets Kirby get the rapid-fire breath attacks chewing through some blocks here.
I think in the lore it's supposed to be Mint, like Curry allows you to shoot and Mint allows you to fly and shoot. Not sure though, but there are many, I'm sure, Kirby experts in the chat. It's weird, that section where Kontos is, they have to shoot all those blocks, use the Curry, but the Curry shoots a little bit slower than you move, so you have to pace yourself a little bit or you're going to bonk on every single block, but they go through that cleanly. Get just under the enemy there, and it's not easy to do, and gets to the Krakow fight proper here. This is the biggest RNG fest in the game, and Krakow eventually we're going to see the time where they never speed out an enemy and are literally unkillable, but you will lose time here if the boss decides not to give you projectiles.
Yeah, Mollyman came into this fight a little bit behind, remains a little bit behind, so similar RNG, but 3 hit points here for Krakow on both sides. So it was genuinely tied for a moment. Kantos wins the RNG war to get down to the second hit, and now they are tied going into the last hit. Meanwhile, Ghost Death is chewing through those blocks. Indy Shepherd about to get into the fight as well, whereas Kantos has taken out the boss. Mollyman needed a little bit more luck, has finally finished it off as well. We got dancing Kirby's all over the place, so take a look at Indy Shepherd's boss fight. It's kind of low on health, but there's not really any concern of getting hit in this fight. It's the swoop comes in sometimes right after the enemy, but it's you got plenty of time to swallow up that enemy and jump over it. So no real danger of dying. You're just sitting here praying.
Yeah. It takes a lot of time if Krakow doesn't attack. And yeah, in chat, confirming, like during the Speed Gaming Kirby's tournament, someone lost an entire minute to a boss not willing to attack, to do the proper attack. So it happens. And hopefully it's not going to decide anyone's tournament during the UD7, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the case, sadly. The boss rush here, you have like 4 very tiny weird levels you have to go through. You touch another Kirby and the enemy disappears, and then you can fight the boss. And so that's why we have Krakow again, and once again they're praying for good RNG. Mollyman and Kantos literally tied, doing the exact same attack at the same time, and yeah, now it's all about like who's boss going to be the nicest.
Indy Shepherd also. Oh yeah, we can take a look at these two in parallel here. Take a look at how the RNG decides things. 1 hit up is Kantos. Both players getting the double beam pattern there. I feel like sometimes it tends to alternate. Like it's one of these things where you start to imagine patterns that probably aren't there.
What you mean.
I'm like, oh, it did 2 beams, so it's got to be the guy next, right? It's got to be. Sometimes it's not. It's just pure chance. Kantos going to be the first one out of there. Mollyman still needs 2 hits and is getting more lasers, so you can really see the difference that RNG can make. Just particularly with this boss, it's sprinkled in a little bit on some of the others, but this is the one where it really hurts.
I have the weirdest superstition on Krakow, I think, and it's hard to convince me otherwise. I know it's wrong, but I feel like if you jump while he's doing the laser beam attack, next up is an enemy. I don't know why, but it's so weird. It's
Whoa! Did Kantos just wrap an attack around?
Yep.
To come from the...
I saw that, and I don't know what happened exactly. That was weird, but another attack came up from afar, and...
He had backup off-screen. Although I think he couldn't fire any more projectiles while it was on screen, so it might have hurt him more than it helped.
Okay,
all right, Indy Shepherd. Yeah, while Kantos is in the Wispy Woods. He's hoping for apples. He's getting breath. The apples come in 3s, so as soon as you see 1, you know that you're pretty much good for the rest of the fight. Ghost Death done with Lolo and La La La. Mollyman just starting Wispy Woods now, and Indy Shepherd. I forget the name of this boss. I think we discussed this last time, this blimp boss. But Indy Shepherd's going to be playing it from a little far away rather than up close. We'll lose a bit of time on lag, but we'll have more time to dodge shots. While Kantos is the first one into DDD, gets swallowed, spat, takes 1 hit, can take 1 more before that will kill him.
Time. No!
It's spiraling out of control a little bit. Okay, that might have been intentional to just kind of reset the fight here. I'm not sure.
That's going to cost them the race here, as Mollyman is... Well, depend on the RNG, but Mollyman has a good start here. 6 HP left on King DDD. Akebula is the name of the other boss you were looking for. And King DDD has 2 attacks that are going to give you stars that you can use as projectiles to hit them, and 3 other attacks that are not going to help you whatsoever. He's going to try to swallow you, he's going to try to run at you, and sometimes he attacks while jumping and does a weird animation.
I think that if he does the hammer and you jump right away, then he comes up to get you with the hammer. But if you jump late, then he'll still try to hit you on the ground, and so most people don't jump late, and that's why it was so weird. But Mollyman's doing a good job of staying close and baiting DDD's attacks in. Wow, he is going to be able to get that star. He knew he could take that hit. Nice finish from Mollyman, followed very closely behind by Kontos as he gets the final star for his final hit. Nice job by both players. This is going to be just over 13 minutes for both, which is a great time for a race.
Yeah, and Kontos died on King DDD, so they lost a lot of time there. They could have had maybe a 12:40 or something like that, which is like a very, very good time. And Andy Shepard taking a lot of hits, but King DDD is almost done, and Ghostess is doing good as well. Only 3 hits left, as Andy Shepard should be done there with that jump, and here we go.
Oh, Ghostess gonna get 1 hit here before finally getting his last hit. All the players are doing their best to stay close to DDD, as close as they can, as they feel brave enough to, because there's pretty much everything DDD does, if it's not a jump, is he's going to run to where you're standing and then do something. So you want him to run as short a distance as possible, so you want to be as close as possible, but it's very hard to react to some of the things that DDD can do. So if you're standing right next to him, it's really easy to get swallowed up, for example. So we did see some really nice placement from the runners, and very few mistakes in those DDD fights. And you're at the mercy of RNG a little bit, but you can definitely fight for more and more time through that optimized play. So it was really cool to see. We can take a look at the leaderboard now as the times are starting to come in. Our leader, it looks like, is going to be Devil Tifa. Lots of people also competing off stream in these tournaments.
Yeah, and 12:23 is a very good time for Devil Tifa, but Little Mai is on second place. Little Mai had the best tournament in a while. Like a week ago, we were doing Minit and Kirby, and they just destroyed everyone else on those 2 games, so I'm not surprised to see them there, and they're going to have a good run probably on the second game. Is going to be Minute. Seal Shady, Mollyman, Penguin, I don't know, Soggy Toost, Kontos, KTH, very, very close together, between 12:23 and 13:20 is the top 9. Ghostess in 10th place at 13:31, and Andy Shepard at 13:39. So it's very close between the players. The times are converted into points, as you see in the total column on the right side, and so we can easily compare different games that are different lengths. It would not be fair exactly to just add up times, and adding up time on such a tournament would just favor a lot RNG and Lawnmower, pretty much. Lawnmower would be the ultimate decider on a tournament like that, so it's a cool system, an easy system to just balance things out, and it's pretty hard to be on top 10 here. It's actually a tie between KTH, Tilgar, and Jinkin, and we still have some finish happening, but 19 people are already done.
Yeah, I'm seeing, I was going to say there's a couple names here that I haven't seen before, Tilgar, Meredith, and then we scroll down for some hiding names down there, and there's a couple who jump out at me. Super Link God, of course, was one of our top 4 finalists last season, is currently doing extremely well this season. Keltris as well was one of the admins. I also see Pika Pals down there, who is a pretty strong mystery tournament competitor, and I think it's their first season, if I'm not mistaken. So in addition to more new names hiding down there, so I don't know if these are people who just found out about it through some of these streams, or if it was just the Kirby that attracted them. It is a very simple, straightforward sort of platform and a very short run, so it might have been the perfect thing for people to jump on and learn something new. I'm not sure, but I do enjoy seeing all these names here on this leaderboard.
Yeah, it's those 3 games are probably the easiest to learn amongst the 10 of UD7. Minit is very, very fun to learn. It's a very short game and a very short speed run with an interesting concept. It's Lawnmower is pretty much just play the game and eventually you'll get either addicted or you won't play the game anymore. And Kirby is, as we've seen, an easy game. Overall, it was a very short game. Like back in 1992 when it came out, lots of people must have like bought it and immediately finished it, and maybe felt a little bit like weird with such a short game compared to many other Game Boy games that came out at the time that were very, very much longer. But it's pretty cool in such a competition here for UD7 to have easy and short games, easy to learn, hard to master, because Kirby's Dreamland is not an easy game to get like world record or even close.
Yeah, you can stumble your way through that game in like 25 minutes on like a first playthrough, but to bring that time down to say 12 minutes requires some real time. And then the world record at 11:05, actually, I think it was recently improved by a second by Speedman over Tanuki just 4 days ago.
Oh.
And there's like a huge power gap between those two runners and then the next closest of like 15 seconds or something, which is pretty crazy actually. Get it? The difference between 12 minutes and like 11:20 is like a huge gap, and then there's like an equally sized gap between 22 and this 11:05, 11:06 area. That extra 15 seconds requires an even bigger commitment to, you know, hyper optimizations and of course just grinding out for the good luck on your runs. So it's yeah, hard to master is true of many things, I think, but the gap between how easy it is to start playing and learn between the highest level of mastery, it really is quite big on Kirby. So it makes it perfect for this sort of tournament format.
Apparently we're going to have a no-show on Rorschach, Dovakill, Super Lingard, and a cup of tea. But next up is Minit, and Minit is an adventure game where you have many different things to do, and one very direct quest to beat the game and to get to the final boss. And the trick here is that you cannot do anything that's going to take longer than a minute. After a minute, you're going to die and respawn at your house. And everything you've done or unlocked is going to stay unlocked. The item you've collected are going to stay near your house, and you have to understand how the world is working all together, how everything is connected, so you can get to the end. Well, not within a minute, but within, what's the world record? 7 minutes and 11 seconds, if I recall correctly.
Something like that, just over 7 minutes. And it's pretty similar to Kirby, actually. Getting around a 9-minute time, maybe 10 minutes if you're going for the flashlight, is pretty doable. You could, you know, in an afternoon, you could get that done. But getting a 7-minute time is a huge world of difference. All the little optimizations you can make just in movement, just in cutting corners or in not bumping into corners, and menuing. Actually, you need to repeatedly, waiting for that minute timer to run out is not advantageous in many situations. And if you die, you go back to your home. So it's like a death warp situation that happens all the time. And in order to kill yourself, you need to hit the button that kills yourself. And usually this is right after you picked up an item. So it's like one input to accept that you got the item, one input to kill yourself, another to accept that menu that you killed yourself, and then start moving again. So it's like a BAB sort of situation that you can rattle off as quick as you can. And you can very easily lose a second or two in situations like that. So getting used to that sort of input and similar inputs on the menus is a surprisingly large source of time loss or gain. And it's kind of the mark of someone who's really put the time in on the game. So something to keep an eye on just before we get started here.
All race is going to start, and we have the PB of the players on screen, and Mollyman has a big lead on that regard, with a 7:19, 7:46 for Andy Shepard, 7:35 for Kontos, and Ghostdeath is at 7:53. Mollyman gets the sword immediately as the game starts and goes to the watering can. Everything of those players are going to do is totally 100% required to beat the game. There is nothing extra. Nothing is like, the game is optimized to the movement. Like, the players are going to get the perfect diagonal to get to the next screen and immediately start moving even before like the screen is on, appears, and Mollyman gets immediately to the second house here, immediately resets, so the timer is back at 60 seconds on top of the screen, and gets to the Oasis here.
Oh, I'm worried for both Ghostdeath and Andy Shepard. Both have died in this darkroom section. You're supposed to get a flashlight to help you see. Ghostdeath through on the second try. Andy Shepard, I think, yeah, just took damage, but is through. Okay. They are, there's no good way through this maze in the dark, actually. We're not actually going to see it because every player is skipping the flashlight on stream, but there's all kinds of paths with enemies all throughout, so I'm not sure exactly what all the different ways people are using to navigate through there. I was counting the little footstep sounds that Minit uses when he walks. It's like 8 over to the side, then 8 up and left, and then 4 over to the right.
Wow.
But it's not easy. It's, oh no, did Andy Shepard just die before getting the no, he did. He's got the sword thrower. Okay.
Right, yeah, Andy Shepard is at the watering can to help the stranded stranger. Ghostdeath as well, and Mollyman is on the way to the crab quest, so you have to kill five crabs, so the barman is going to give you some coffee. Coffee helps you to push crates, and once again you have to be able to push those crates for the next quest. So Mollyman is in first place here by a decent margin. Kontos is right behind them, and Andy Shepard and Ghostdeath are on third and fourth place, but not too far behind. Minit is such a short game, it's obviously stays close between the players as long as they don't die.
Mollyman is going past his sort of next objective to go get to the hotel checkpoint, because the timer was above 10 seconds. He needs to come back when it's below 10 seconds, because that's when that scuba diver surfaces, and that's one of the keys to getting the next upgrade, the scuba on the roof of this hotel. But it needs more guests before the hotel owner will open the pool so we can go collect our rewards. So we have to go find more guests. This guy here ran in with a bad crowd here, the Leaf Gang, and you got to take him out and have him have a change of heart, so he will go back to the hotel. And then you can see Mollyman is pushing this little guy in a box who lost his credit card, and he dropped it in only a particular place, so you play this little hot-cold game to find the right spot for him to get that. And then over to these trees here, there's a friendly little fellow who's a little scared, I guess, and so he'll hop from tree to tree, so you take out his little possibilities to corner him. It's a little mean, but it all works out in the end. He goes back to the hotel before we have one more dark room section here.
Yeah, this is very tricky. You have to explode two bombs blindly by throwing your sword at it. If you are too close to the bomb, it's going to kill you, so you have to be very precise with your movement. Mollyman goes through that in a weird way. I've never seen anyone do the first bomb in second and the second bomb first. Well, whatever works, I guess, for Mollyman, and they're doing great here. Kontos is on the black room as well, on the bottom left part of the screen. Does the same bomb order, so maybe it is better. Goes back to the light here, so they know exactly where they are and have a good setup for the second bomb. Nicely done. But Mollyman is already on their way to the final quest. So we have that factory that makes cursed swords. And such as the one we have, it's cursed, and that's why we respawn every minute, and it's killing the entire island. I don't exactly know the story, but you have to destroy the factory, and the first step here is to push crates into the machine so it doesn't produce blaze anymore.
Yeah, that's sort of one half of the factory. Not enough time to take out both halves in one run, so we're gonna go ahead and die and make pretty much the exact same run. We'll see this run. I'm pretty sure, but you get pretty used to this set of movements here. We go through entrance sort of off screen, hidden in the dark, over to the other side. Got to hit the buttons and sort of ride the merry-go-round. And you've got a fair bit of time. If you really mess up and go past one, you're probably going to have to wait it out and hit all of them again. So definitely one of the bigger mistakes you can make in a run that's all about saving little bits of time here and there. If you go and drop like 6 seconds or something, you'll really feel it. Taking out the generator here is Molaman to destroy the lasers, and then quick before he dies, get your sword jammed in these gears. This is obviously not what was intended. You're taking out the thing producing the thing in the factory, but your sword gets stuck and it's on fire, and the only way to get it back is to bring the watering can all the way back to where you just were. So it's actually a bit of a puzzle trying to figure out how to get back there without your sword that can help break bushes and lamps and remove obstacles and stuff.
This run is very, very close because you want to put down the fire, get the mega sword, and then go hit the boss, trigger the cutscene before you die from the timer. So keep an eye on the up left corner, the corner there. The timer is at 16. That should be good for Mollyman. They should have the time to trigger the cutscene. But if you die, if the time runs out before the boss fight starts, you go back to the hotel, and that's a minute lost. So it's one of the very, very important moments in the run. So Mollyman dies at the end of the timer, and actually that helps them go through that first phase of the boss. The boss fight takes a lot of time in the run, and is actually quite difficult to do perfectly.
Yeah, this is your biggest opportunity to save time. You can get to the boss fight at around the same time, somewhat consistently, but you will gain and lose a lot of time based on how you approach this fight. These swords, the furthest one away from you is going to be the one that lights up and becomes vulnerable. And it's sometimes the angles that they shoot their projectiles out is at an angle that's just not conducive in order to cross the screen to get to them in time. The sword throw can definitely help you out here. And see, Mollyman was too close, and the swords just came out right in his face. So you take a death there. There's tons of checkpoints in this fight, but each of those deaths is going to add up and cost you a couple seconds.
Yeah, Mollyman lost a lot of time here, and Kontos could not pass them there, but the lead definitely feels less important now. Kontos is almost done with the second phase, so it's in the Shepherd. But Mollyman is almost done with the third phase. He's going to throw the sword repetitively at the boss and should be fine. One final hit will do it, and that's at 7:29, I think.
Very, very good time for a race. 7:29 passing on the in-game timer, and some of the other competitors here. Andy Shepherd is looking for one last sword to light up here. He takes a hit taking it out, so he is moving on to the sort of last set of phases here. Ghost Death just starting the fight. Kontos, I believe, is done. Yep, there it is. What time did Kontos get?
I don't know, I did not check. I was hooked on Andy Shepherd try on the boss. But Kontos is going to finish with a time of 7:46. That's actually very good. 15 lives, 15 runs is what you want to aim for. That means they did not do any significant mistake, no extra death or anything. And Mollyman died once on the boss fight. That cost them a little bit of time. I would not be surprised if they were like on pace for PB or just like barely under it for the entire run. 8:15 for Andy Shepherd and Ghost Death at 8:25. They got stuck for so long on the black room at the start of the game. They lost a ton of time there, and they're doing great on the boss fight. But that's any second lost on minutes feels like an hour.
Right. He's pretty far back here against the wall. You can't see it, of course, because it's all dark, but you're surrounded by a wall of pointy, broken swords all over the place. And if you run into it, you will get hit. Looks like he got tagged by one of those sword projectiles. But eventually, the projectiles start coming behind you off the wall. But I think their position is is sort of set, so you can kind of see where the first ones come in, and they're almost always on these diagonals, and then you can kind of follow them from there. So even though you can't see them, you can get a feel for where they are and avoid taking damage. It's very difficult. The final phase of that, pretty much that entire boss fight is very hard to optimize, really. Coming in just over 9 minutes, it looked like. We'll see in a second for sure, but I think it was about a 9:09 for Ghost Death, and it's a good time, but I bet he's going to be a little disappointed with that start.
Yeah.
Oh, he skipped right past it. I missed it.
Oh, yep. I think it's a 9:15, but I'm not sure. That we're going to see the time for the players, and wow, this is close for first, second, third, and fourth place. Apparently, the players got very, very good time. 7:26 for Penguin, 23, and 7:29 for Mollyman and KTH. This is impressive.
I can't believe 9 people finished under 8 minutes here.
Yeah. This 8 minutes is the mark for like almost flawless runs. You cannot die like in a awful fashion to get an 8-minute time. You have to do almost all the runs correctly, and you'll get some mistakes here and there, like in tiny optimization, in tiny movement, diagonals and such. And a lot of runners are an entire minute behind that. Like Sylph Shady with a 8:40 probably like died and in the end lost an entire minute and would have had like a 7:45 or something without that dash. I did not see the run, but I can imagine that that was the case. Same for Mooney, Ghost Death, Dynamic. Those runners know the game but had an accident that cost them a lot.
Of course, it's going to be Double Tifa and Penguin, actually. I was going to say Double Tifa on top, but he's actually tied and is extremely close to Little Mind Mollyman, off by just 1 point. And then even then, we're talking like differences of 5 and then 2 and then 3. Like, it is extremely close among, the top 8 all the way down to the 14th. The top 14 are all quite close together before. It's only between 14th and 15th that we do see at least some semblance of a gap here across the first 2 games. So extremely close, and lots more matches to go. Plus, one of them is Lawnmower. So if there was one game that was the hardest to be consistent at, Lawnmower would be the game.
Yes, and do remember we are doing a second half that's going to be exactly the same. So UD is all about consistency in races. It's not about getting the flashiest and best times, it's being able to be consistent across many different games. And it's not an easy skill to master. Like you have to get there and to learn all those tiny tricks and manipulation and remember them. And as soon as you get into the game, you have to be ready. So the runners are getting there, and everybody is apparently done with Minit. It went fairly quickly, and Lawnmower is up next. We've overhyped the game at the start of the stream. What's so special about Lawnmower?
Well, yeah, on the surface it is an extremely boring, simple game. There is a lawn, and you mow the lawn with the lawnmower. And if you were to first play it, you'd probably, be moving it around at the base speed or whatever, not accelerating, and it goes pretty slow, and you're like, this is dumb. The first level is very easy, but basically this lawnmower will lose fuel over time, and on a set pattern, a fuel can will spawn, and you need to go pick it up to refill your fuel. You will lose more fuel if you run over flowers, and you will lose even more fuel if you run over rocks. And so you can see the clip here that does a good job of showing gameplay and also sort of giving a spirit, conveying what this game is like to play in spirit. This runaway lawnmower is basically what this game really is when you get down and play it, because eventually the lawns become very big. There's a lot of hazards in the way. The fuel can will randomly spawn, and sometimes it can spawn very far away, and even a small mistake will prevent you from getting there before your fuel runs out. And I think the hardest thing about the game, and is maybe one of the hardest things to convey to someone who hasn't played it, is how difficult it is to control this darn lawnmower.
Yes. Yeah. I am like probably over 50 tries on that game, and I finally have an idea on how to control a little bit and to feel like it's my fault when the mower goes on the wrong way. But still, like, sometimes I don't know why it feels like the mower is just teleporting just one square to the left or to the right, and usually on a rock. Like, it's so weird. I don't know why. There's a tiny bit of input lag, and the control is not as good as you want it to be for such a game. Maybe it's because it's on the NES, maybe it's because it's a homebrew, or maybe it's because deep down we don't really want to mow the lawn.
We can see Mollyman doing some practice. This mower runs out one square before the gas can, so that's ominous. I suppose we'll see how it goes in the actual race. It's kind of important to note the difference between grinding lawnmower times and racing lawnmower. You can kind of greatly change the way that you play the game in order to adapt to a race situation. You can be an aggressive lawnmower or a defensive lawnmower. You can basically the gas cans will spawn only in areas where you've mowed the grass. So you can control where that is based off of how you mow. If you mow any grass on, say, the both sides of the lawn, you've now made it possible for the fuel can to spawn, off screen. Basically, if you're on the left, it could be on the right, and vice versa. The worst is if you're in the middle and you don't see it spawn and you don't know which side it is. If you go to one side and you find out it's not there, it's going to be pretty hard to get all the way back to the other side of the screen to go pick it up wherever it is. So while we do get that nice, wonderful looking graphic off screen, we can see that the first level has gone swimmingly for everyone. It starts very simple, very deceptive before it starts to ramp up.
Yeah, it's so easy at the start. Nobody dies on level 1. Almost nothing is there to kill you anyway. Level 2 introduces the flowers, so if you run over flowers, obviously you're ruining the lawn, so you're going to lose fuel and a 6 of your fuel bar. So you can go over some flowers, but you have to be moderate with that and know exactly that you have to refuel faster. Level 3 introduces the rocks, so the rocks are the like the same as the flowers, but they don't disappear if you go over them, and they cost you twice as much fuel. So Mollyman is playing like very carefully, slowing down on a lot of places. I need to learn to do that because it's so bad to want to go too fast all the time. And level 4 introduces the bigger lawn, so now the screen is scrolling left to right, which means sometimes you're not going to have the fuel on site when it spawns.
Yeah, this lawn is not quite as long as they end up getting, so it's not so bad, but it starts to introduce you to the idea that, oh, this lawn's getting big. This is becoming maybe a bit of a problem. It's not a problem for Mollyman, whose careful mowing has led to a lead here. It's very hard to mow optimally while constantly going at full speed. You have to get to a very, very high level of play before you will be able to kind of punish Mollyman for the way he's mowing in some of these cases, because you might be going faster, but your route is going to be not nearly as optimal. Partly because it's just hard to be that precise, but also partly because when things go wrong, it becomes very hard to control your mower. Basically, you have to be hitting your inputs kind of before you hit a turn. So if your input is wrong, you've probably already put in the next input, and that's going to put you somewhere else that's even more wrong. And so it takes like a couple wrong inputs before you finally realize what's happened and correct yourself. And in cases like this 6th lawn here, very, very easily, during that period of lack of control, you've gone over the same rock like 3 times.
Yeah, I love how when you, as a viewer, Oh wow, Contos does exactly what you were describing. It's just like trying to go around a rock, but slightly shifted to the right or to the left, and that means you're going to go over the rock several times and dies. Level 6 has no pattern to it, so there is no good way to just like mold alone and never stop. So you have to go in weird like left and right and go pretty much anywhere you can go, and that means that there is no like rewarding pattern to follow, and it's pretty weird. Like it's not as satisfying as level 1 where you could do everything in one fell swoop.
Yeah, it's I find it difficult for me as well, just as a player. From when I can visualize a path to drive through the grass, it becomes much easier for my fingers to execute on that path. Whereas if it's just kind of a mess, I don't quite know what to do with my fingers to make it happen. So the more uniform and pattern things are, I find it's a lot easier to be accurate. And with no pattern and nothing but rocks on the field, level 6 is kind of the worst. For me and for many players, I think. Kontos is going to go get the fuel can. I was wondering if he was going to try to finish it out. These are the decisions like that are the difference between, opportunities to be more aggressive or defensive. I greatly favor defensive lawnmower in this these race formats.
Defensive lawnmower feels like, it's becoming a sport, like mowing the lawn as precisely as you can. Level 8 is divided in 3 sections. You have left side, right side, and the middle. And the middle has those flowers and those rocks in the middle, very hard to navigate. And since the fuel will only spawn where the grass has been cut, you will often have to go back and forth between left sides and right sides to be able to finish the level, but Mollyman does a nice spiral pattern at the end here and gets there without even getting the can, so very nicely done. Ghostdeath is also on level 8, but died apparently, so has to go through it all over again.
Yeah, level 8, I like to mow most of the middle section to make it more and more likely that I get my can spawns in the middle. I don't have to go all the way to the other side of the screen. But eventually, you're going to have to do one side and then the other. Mm-hmm. So you will be stuck in this situation where RNG kind of becomes a factor. It becomes, when the gas can spawns off screen, you have no idea how far it is. So if you leave yourself barely enough time to get to the middle or a little past it, and it spawns right on the edge, you're dead. So if you want to be sure that you're going to be okay, unlike Malaman, who just lost a lot of progress late on Lawn 9 here, you need to go early. And so if you see that gas can and you know it's close, but even just knowing where it is the biggest thing, he is going to be able to recover from the situation, thankfully. Knowing where the gas can is lets you know exactly how much lawn you can mow before you go get it, and that can make a difference. Literally just in optimizing how much time you spend mowing lawns, but it also makes a big difference, just like a weight off your mind, knowing where that gas can is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as soon as you know where it is, it's way easier to decide what you're going to do next. And sometimes you assume it's on the left side, but you did not see it on the right side, and you die. Like, oh wow, Mollyman plays a bit aggressively here, but has to do all the right side, so goes back and forth with the fuel can as well as they can. Oh, nice spawn.
There we go.
Yeah, that's lucky. I should be able to finish here without an issue and rush for the end.
Has been joined on Lawn 9 by Ghostdeath. Ghostdeath sort of, we did see that death from Malaman, but Ghostdeath's going fast here. Not too much of the slowing down for some of the corners. Wow, Kontos just went over a rock to get the fuel can on the other side. That is something you can do sometimes, especially in Lawn 7, actually. We saw the players purposely going straight over some flowers to get some gas cans. ND Shepherd is on Lawn 8 here, but Lawn 10, it's up there with 6 for hardest, I think. It's very long. There's this long row of rocks that forces you to go way up and way down. So if you're on the far right side, like far right top corner, for example, and you need to go, or the worst is the middle, I guess. If you're in the middle on one side and you need to go all the way to the other side to get a gas can, that means going all the way up, all the way over, all the way back down. And if you don't go right away, there's a good chance that if that can's in a bad spot, you're dead.
So over for the other racers, apparently Double Thief had beat the game in 6:59, and they're pretty happy. And that means they can like let go of the game a little bit grind-wise and focus on other games. But I don't know how that is even possible. Mollyman took a lot of nasty deaths, sadly. Well, not deaths necessarily, but accidents that ended up costing a lot of time, and plays very defensively, but beat the game in 8:36, which is a very good time actually.
Yeah, that is. That's you know, this is one of those things where like the world record is more like 5 minutes, just about, because KTH is a madman and has been pushing it lower and lower. But the to be what is this? This is like, in terms of percentage wise, this is like an extra 60% off of the world record. Can feel pretty, that would be kind of bad in most games, but in Lawnmower, that time is actually really solid for a race. So it's just speaks to the sheer difficulty of actually trying to play this game. Ghost Death also got a good fuel can spawn and was able to navigate the very end. We've got well done on 3 of our screens. Andy Shepard has been struggling a little bit. He is now on lawn 9, is about almost halfway done. You can take a look at the percentage count in the top right to get an idea for how each lawn is going. Though now that we've only got one player to focus on, we're going to know exactly how much lawn is left to be mowed as we follow Andy Shepard on their quest to get their chores done.
Oh no!
Oh,
I don't know what's best for Lone 9. I have a straight pattern, a straight route, like a decided plan, and I go a bit of the bottom right corner and then bottom left, so I have like fuel cans spawning either left or right for the next 2 like corners, and then I do the middle whenever I have to go back and forth between like left side and right side. And apparently Andy Shepard goes like completely different ways and does like all the right side, then the middle, and then the left side. But that means while you have to mow the left side, you have sometimes spawns very, very far right. So I don't know, it doesn't feel that good, but if it works, it's so hard anyway to navigate those damn loans. Whatever works, right?
This is the kind of thing that will test your patience too, because you by the time you get over here, your fuel meter's all like a quarter of the way gone. So you mow just a little bit, and then it's already time to go. So you feel like you're not doing anything, and the longer you spend on a level, the more time you lose if you make a mistake, and the pressure builds.
Oh my God.
And sometimes you crack.
It's so hard. We have like a little bit more time, obviously, for Andy Shepard to beat the game, but like, it's so weird because the world record is at 5 minutes, right? So getting a 10 minutes would be like, if you go just like percentage wise on Kirby, it would be like getting a 26-minute time, 22 minutes, which is almost like first run kind of time without even learning. You can get
my first run was about 20 minutes, so I would be horrified if I got that in a race.
Yeah, and on Lawnmower, if you get like sub 10, you're pretty happy.
Yep.
It's so weird. The game is built in such a weird. No, don't go over it. I
save.
Slowly, like going, letting go of the gas, and then slowly creeping your way up the flowers, and not even being able to correct yourself before the horrifying massacre happens. But finally, Andy Shepard gets to level 10.
All right, tangible progress made here. Even in slow speed, the mower still will. I mean, it's going to snap to the grid. So sometimes the fact that it's going slow can actually be weird to control. You think you're turning left. You're holding the input for like the next square it's traveling to, but it'll just like jackknife over there, sort of part way. Even it's weird. So it's not so totally free. driving the mower that slowly. It's certainly easier than going full speed, but it has its own challenges, and it also is something you need to be ready for. If you're doing it without any practice, it's going to feel really weird. It's going to throw you off. So if you want to be safe here, you need to actually put time to sort of develop your ability to do that.
Yeah. I don't know, I cannot let go of the gas. Personally, if I start slowing down, I never know. Should I go faster or should I play safe and I either do all one or all the other? No, I should my moves to the on the rock. Almost done with the level, has to start all over again. It's hard. You have to practice racing that game specifically for UD7 if you want to have great results on the finals and on the qualifying tournaments. They're all going to be on all 10 games in a row. No pass, no joker, no option. You have to be able to race all 10 games.
Andy Shepard has made some mistakes here. Has gone over a rock, has gone over some flowers, but has done a really good job on the recovery. On one of those cases, the gas can spawned literally as far away as it could, and Andy Shepard was able to get there. Your stomach drops when you make some of these mistakes. I mean, sometimes you go over like 19 flowers and you're just dead immediately, and you don't really have time to even think about it. But sometimes you go over 2 flowers, or you go over a rock, and you're like, I can fix this, but I need to fix it now. And the panic sets in. It can be very difficult to think clearly, move where the lawnmower or where the gas can is most likely to spawn, head in that direction. Don't put yourself in, like, for example, you wouldn't want to be in the middle here. You would want to be on either the top or the bottom so that you could get past the row of rocks, stuff like that. You can there are some things you can do to help your recovery. And Andy Shepard did a really good job on this run so far. We'll see if they can finish it out here. It would be possible to just go and finish this, but with a pleasantly close spawn on the gas can, that's going to do it. Nice job.
Whew. Okay, I think going back for that fuel can at the end was the correct decision. It was completely possible to get there, but it's so hard when you are on the timer like that and you are overthinking it. You will make a mistake. So very good result overall. Devil Tifa takes the lead by 7 points, and that's a lot on those 3 games, but it's just the halfway result here. We are going back on Kirby, Minit, and a lawnmower, so everybody will have to do the same or even better if they want to keep their current place. But the things have separated a little bit since Minit.
Yeah, this lawnmower has just wreaked havoc on this leaderboard. There was no difference greater than 3 points, going from first to second to third to fourth, all the way down to like 15th or 16th or something it was. And now you don't have to look any further than 1 and 2 before you see a 7-point gap, and there's no one anymore who is close to each other. There's at least a 4 or 5 point gap between everyone, and it just speaks to the craziness of lawnmower. I wonder if by the end of the season, people are going to figure lawnmower out. They're going to start to get pretty consistent at it. Some people are going to be better than others, and but we're going to see people finishing around the same time, maybe, or maybe lawnmower is going to defy everyone. I certainly wouldn't put it past the talented players of the Ultimate Decathlon to get a handle on this darn mower, but if any game would push them to the limit, this is the one.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a hard game, and you have to practice specifically in a very different way, but you also have to be good at many different games. Some people have said that the RNG in Kirby would decide everything. I still think that rack is going to have a lot of importance in the 10 games in a row, being a FPS and fast pace. Lots of runners are going to have to struggle with that. Mega Man, any death is going to cost a lot of time and a lot of points to players. Same goes for the messenger. So as usual in UDs, it's going to be down to being able to be the most consistent possible, and you don't have to grind down only Lawnmower thinking that it's going to be the only game that matters, obviously. But I don't know. I have no clue how to be good at that game, how to play well. I don't think it's even possible.
I know. It feels so bad to put in the effort. There's no secret. You just mow the lawn. You just move it. It's just D-pad. But it gets. I haven't got the run yet. I haven't been able to string it together, and I felt for a long time that like, oh, but I will though. But I will. It just takes a bit of time. And then at some point I turned a corner, and just utter despair set in. And now I'm just confident and sure that it will never happen. I will never ever get a deathless lawnmower run. And I don't want to let it beat me, but it's getting there, man. It's getting there. Lawnmower is brutal. Hats off to everyone who even finished in this race. I saw a lot of around 10 minutes, sub 10 minute times. These are all very good. You may have just lost 3 minutes to Devil Tifa, but be happy. I think everyone should be happy with a 10-minute time for sure.
Yeah, actually just beating the game in less than 15, I would say, is okay. You feel bad when you play the game a lot and you have like a sum of best at 6 minutes. You start to feel very bad when you do like a single mistakes or a single death in a level, but it will happen. You will have like plus 2 minute times on some levels, and it's not. It's okay. It's a weird game. It's a hard game, and still people come back to it. It's one of the games we have the most races on. It's weird. But almost all the runners are done with the game. 4 more players, Sugitooth, Meredith, sadly, and Doverhill did not submit a time yet. And the other players, I'm sure, are going back to Kirby and to Minit to get ready for the second round. So what do you think will happen? Devil Tifa got 201, 202, and 206 on those 3 games, getting a total at 609. And KTH had a bad Kirby at 191, but a very good Minit and a very good Lawnmower, so they could be there and try to beat to get the first place. Mollyman is third at 597, so they could have done better on Lawnmower, but once again, accident will happen. And they had an okay Kirby and a very good Minit. I'm not sure if it's possible to stay consistent enough on those 3 games to be able to keep the first place for Devil Tifa.
Well, KTH's Kirby PB is a 12-14, 202 points. So compared to their tournament time of 191, that's 10 points. That's I feel like that's a little bit beyond just RNG. I wonder if something happened, had to take a death somewhere to refill their HP, or just didn't want to take a death but did. Maybe something happened. So I would expect them to do a little better in their Kirby Take 2. 7 points, we thought would have been, if this was just Kirby and just Minit, 7 points is a lot. But with another Lawnmower and with KTH being KTH at Lawnmower, they could still absolutely take this away from Devil Tifa. Really, anyone could take anything when Lawnmower is in the pool. But 7 points. I definitely got to give Devil Tifa the advantage. As just he's so good at racing and just the sheer amount of experience he has in this sort of thing. It comes through in these races, and it's never ever count out Devil Tifa.
I don't know how they do that, because we've raced Lawnmower just before the tournament starts, and they got like 10 minutes and 12 minutes, and the tournament starts. There's something to win for your player card, and bam, they're there for 7 minute time. I don't know. It's insane. And Kirby, they got a 12:23, which is a very, very good time. Minit a 7:47, very close to their PB. And it's crazy to be that consistent. They still have a lot of games to practice though, especially Rack. And then I don't know what they're going to do on, except like for Out There Somewhere, VVV, and Rack. They will have almost like perfect times on all those games, and then what do you go from that? Do you practice all 10 games in a row? Do you try to grind out like seconds on the games, or do you just try to stay consistent and just have fun on those casual tournaments we're doing? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he's at. He when we talked to him at the end of the sixth season, Mel West said like, I don't want to do the next season. I got my fill. I'm done. I'm going to take a break. And Devil Tifa, didn't say no. And of course, here he is. So, but he was a little more cool on his excitement to join the next season. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he has slightly different goals for this season. Wanted to get good times in each game, and then maybe he's happy with that. So, we might see him just go where his heart takes him after that. Who can say, really? Everyone's kind of got their own goals, their own reasons to be in the decathlon. There's a lot you can get out of it in terms of racing other people, learning new games, being the best, and it's up to the individual to make these kinds of decisions. So one of the fun things about this is not only seeing the games but the people, and what happens when you get all these people together. It's been one of my favorite things. Kirby, also, as cute as he is, also another one of my favorite things. It would make my list of some of my favorite things if I were to break out into song.
Kirby is a great game, a great design. I like how easy that game is, to be honest. Like, I've played a little bit. I started Kirby's Adventure on the NES, and it's a bit harder. It's not as cutesy and feel good vibe to it as Kirby's Dreamland. I've yet to play Kirby's Dreamland 2 and 3. I don't know if they kept the cuteness going, but Kirby is certainly up there in the nice and gentle things in the gaming world. But when you try to go as fast as possible, anything will get on your nerves, and that tiny white ball of, I don't know what it is, fluff, is probably going to get on your nerves, as so are the bosses, King DDD and Krakow in the first place. So we'll see how well they treat all of 4 runners to on the second race.
You have me wondering what Kirby feels like now.
Oh.
Is he soft? Is he squishy? If you were to like take your finger and rub it down the side of him, would it squeak like a balloon? It's making me a little uncomfortable now. So I'm kind of upset that you've put this in my head.
I'm sorry. It's you can imagine like terrible things, like maybe he's made of actual human flesh, and it feels like super gross. I don't know.
All right, this cute little thing is best left in pixel form, racing off through the first level here in Green Greens. One of the things that I don't think we pointed out on the first go around was that Kirby doesn't have the ability to copy powers or anything. He can swallow enemies and spit them back out, but he can also just kind of headbutt them. If he falls for a long enough distance, his sprite will change to this sort of almost like helpless looking plummeting animation that you'd think would be bad, but it actually will damage anything he lands on. And it gets a use in a couple cases that we saw earlier in this level. Poppy Bros defeated for all 4 players. Pretty good luck across all 4 streams here, and a nice damage boost from Kontos. I'm not sure, how players feel about routing in these damage boosts. There are some levels where death becomes a lot more likely and a bigger problem. But this first one, Wispy Woods is pretty straightforward, so I bet people will be a lot more willing to take these damage boosts.
Yeah, is it just me, or are the players doing exactly the same thing? Like, Kontos, Ghostdeath, and Mollyman are all within the same second, and the Shepherd is just behind, but they've got the same movement and the same decision going on. Sometimes you take a hit and you make a mistake, but they got the same idea as execution-wise, and it feels like cleaner than the first start. Maybe the runners are finally warmed up. Kontos is done, so is Mollyman, and the Shepherd just has one. Oh no, they're done as well. So is Gosdes. So everyone is entering Castle Lololo. Mollyman in first place, Kontos right behind them.
Indy Shepherd and Ghost Death actually pretty much tied to the frame currently. But so Mollyman is enjoying a lead of about a half second over Kontos, and then another second or so. Still very close. This is pretty predictable. There hasn't been any of the major RNG things yet. Certain Poppy Bros can do something other than give you your third bomb. Wispy Woods can blow a breath instead of giving you your next set of apples. But really, it comes down to execution mostly up to this point. And all the players are seeming well practiced here. We can see Mollyman detouring for the curry. He makes sure to sort of suck in the curry on the way down. But he's missed the door here. So that's already going to greatly eat into the time he has to use this thing to actually damage the boss. We'll see how much he gets out of it if he gets there in time.
I'm not even sure if it's possible once you made like a single mistake. They beat Lololo and have another cycle to go through, but Kontos is almost done, so his Gosdes, so Mollyman is not going to save much time doing that, and it takes a lot of nerves to go for those harder strats, and it's pretty heartbreaking when it doesn't save time.
Looks like it's mostly going to pay off. It maintains about, I think, parity through everyone, actually, in that level. Mollyman, about a half second ahead of Kontos, who is about 1 second ahead of both Ghost Death and ND Shepherd. So everyone had pretty much the same time on the second level, just kind of took different ways to get there.
Alright, now the game gets harder if you want to optimize exactly to the second. You don't want to fly here, and you don't want to take any hits, and anything will trick you on this level to lose time or make a mistake. And Kontos and Mollyman are tied to the frame here, apparently, doing exactly the same movement at the same time, falling exactly the same places. It's crazy how they practice. Oh no, and Kontos get hooked on those blocks and loses a bunch of time.
Yeah, a bunch of time being 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm not even, it really is a lot of time in this game. And it's through little moments like that. There's some things that are not in your control based off of what these bosses do, but there are things like that absolutely are. So need to capitalize on all of those. Currently, Mollyman has done a little bit better, about a second ahead of Kontos, who is now a little bit further ahead of Ghost Death, who has managed to pull ahead of ND Shepherd. So the players spreading out a little bit more heading into the end of the third stage here. The what is this? Kebula? I think someone said it. All right.
I don't know the exact pronunciation, but Kebula. Yeah, Kebula.
It's dead now.
It's dead.
Whatever it is.
it was named, but it will be back in the boss rush. But it's probably the most underwhelming boss in the game. You just stay close. You try not to take many hits, but we've not seen anyone dies to that boss, and it should not happen too much in the entire UD. It has happened to everyone, I think, but should not as soon as you practice enough. Very, very good start in level 4 for both Kontos and Mollyman, because this takes another round compared to those players, but gets there as well. And the Shepherd took a hit, but doesn't matter too much, I think.
Well, a couple more mistakes and he can find himself in a bad situation here. Is at least one less health than the others heading into this section that Mollyman is in, which is pretty difficult. There's a lot of enemies that are above and below you, so you can't quite easily suck them in, and it's quite easy to take damage, like we just saw there from Mollyman. That one might have been intentional because it was a bit of a damage boost, and he had plenty of health afterwards, and probably doesn't need it for Krakow, so Wouldn't be surprised, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he just plain got hit. Enemies in tricky positions all around this area.
Ooh, and the shepherd almost fell to its death, but finally gets there. This is the hardest screen there on the game, in my opinion. It's very, very tricky to get perfectly through those jumps. And Krakow Jr. here is not going to be a problem. For Mollyman, Ghostdeath, Kontos, or Andy Shepard, he does exactly the same thing all the time. And oh no, he almost got behind the background here, but did not. Oh, and Kontos got it. Nice. I love that glitch. It doesn't save any time.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was like a lag reduction strat or something, but it looks weird, and that's about it.
It happens if you go as fast as possible, so it doesn't save time by itself, but it means that you have saved time getting the mint.
And Shepard just kind of fell directly on it with his face, so not quite as elegant as the others, but very, very minor critique here. Ghostdeath chewing through these blocks with the curry as we get a Krakow fight from Malaman. So what kind of RNG are we going to get? We do get one enemy. I feel like average is kind of getting one enemy per swoop and beam. Like it's kind of, swoop beam enemy, swoop beam enemy. So that's kind of average. And then if you, get more enemies or less enemies, then you can feel appropriately good or bad about your run.
Sometimes he will beam and throw an enemy at you at the same time. I don't know what triggers the attacks of that boss, but it's pretty weird. And we can see that Kontos has only 1 HP left, but caught up with Mollyman and actually passed them there. So if they don't die in the next few rounds, yeah, here we go. Very nice. Kontos takes the lead by a second, and Ghostdeath should be there within 2 hits apparently, and Mount DDD starts for Kontos there.
Alright, into the I guess it's a boss rush. It is like a little bit of stage between each one, so it doesn't feel like a true boss rush, but it basically is. They got all their faces on the doors and things. Andy Shepard needs one more hit. There it is. Going to be joining the players on the final level. Malaman is a little bit behind Kontos still, heading into the Lolo La 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 refight. Kontos missed out on a hit there and is taking some damage. You don't really get many opportunities to refill your health in this stage, so it's pretty long, and it's pretty easy to get hit by like the cannonballs and the Kebula fight, and then you've got to worry about DDD at the end, and dying late into the DDD fight is one of the worst mistakes you can have in this game. So pretty important to keep your health up. In some situations, players might actually opt to die intentionally just to refill their health to really avoid that situation.
Krakow refight, and Mollyman prays for good RNG, and Kontos prays as well as the fight starts for them, but they only have 4 HP for Mollyman and 3 HP for Kontos. It's, once again, should not matter, but I don't know, I feel uncomfortable in those in the boss rush to have low HP, because it's so easy to take hits in Kirby's Dreamland. Ghostdeath is in the refight as well, 3 hits away from Kontos and Mollyman, and Andy Shepard is going to start the boss fight just right now. So very, very tight race, very, very close between all 4 runners, and obviously it's DDD that's going to decide it all, but before that Kontos has to go past Wispywood and Kebula right now. Those tiny introduction level before the boss are very weird, but very short, so it's not too bad. And Kontos runs into the enemy here, and that's the one shot, and that's probably one of the biggest mistakes you can make here.
One of them. That was a weird death. Your jump inputs can be very delayed, sort of. When you land, Kirby sometimes takes a while before he will finally jump again. But that was pretty long after the landing. I don't think that's what happened. I think he just missed the jump input entirely. A pretty weird mistake, and very, very costly. I'm sure that must have been at least a little upsetting for him. So we'll see how Kantos can recover from the situation. Seems to be pretty strong, actually, taking out Kebula and moving on. Kind of not missing a beat here.
Has this passed Mollyman meanwhile, or do they still have one boss to go through before getting to DDD? Oh yeah, okay, they did not go into the Kebulan level yet. Yeah, as Cyclone says in chat, there is currently on Speed Gaming a tournament going on for this game. So if you want to watch many more Kirby races, you could check that out, and it's going to be featured on the UD streams often in the next few months. So plenty of Kirby content going on your way. On Speed Gaming, I think Super Lingard is one of the UD runners that joined the Kirby tournament, so I hope they go far and do well for the UD colors. But Mollyman going strong on the DDD fight here, only three hits to go. Kantos has 6 hits to go and Ghostdeath 8. Andy Shepard is at 9. Mollyman is almost done, 2 hits away.
One jump here means one more attack. The hammer's going to do it.
Nice.
There is the final hit. Mollyman's going to get a 12:44 or so. There's a bit of stream delay. It'll probably come in a little bit faster than that. Kantos needs 3 more hits, gets 1, and has 1 more here. Takes a hit in return. Oh no, okay, gotta buckle down here. He's gonna get the jump. This is one of the easier ones to deal with, and he is safely going to get the final hit. Just about a 13-minute time this time for Kantos. Ghostdeath needs to be a little bit careful here, down to 2 health.
It's not the... Yeah, it is the hardest fight in the game, but it's not the scariest boss fight you've ever seen in a platformer. But sometimes DDD is going to run at you and corner you, and you want to get hits. So if he's trying to hit you with the hammer, you want to get there, and you're going to take some hits if you play too recklessly. And if you want to save time, you won't do that. So it's just because of the speedrun, because of the fact that you want to go fast, you are going to take some big risks. And Ghostdeath and Andy Shepard are done almost at the same time here, just a second before for Ghostdeath. And we're going to take a look at the finish, and wow, Little Mai got a crazy good time compared to everyone else that are very close together. 12:41, 12:42, 12:45, 12:39. Do everybody get the same RNG, or is like 12:30 the average time for that game?
It seems that way. There's an awful lot of 1-2-3s and 1-2-4s in a row on this leaderboard right now. KTH got that 12:45, and I pulled up their PB earlier because I wanted to see, and then totally.
It's a 12:14.
Yes, that's right. So better than last time. Yeah, that's good. 30 seconds off. Totally acceptable for a race. Very good time. Bounced back a little bit from Kirby race number 1, but did lose a little more time to Devil Tifa, so is now 8 points back. Then a 4-point gap between KTH and Mollyman, who's one of the 4 we've had on stream, is currently sitting in 3rd. Joined by, also on stream, Kantos in 4th place. 8 points back, which is going to be pretty hard to make up, but Lawnmower's still in the pack, so anything can happen. Little Mai rocketing up the boards with that 12-12, the only one to reach the 200-point mark and get that jet black square that helps them stand out. Just 5 points back from Kantos. Penguin, which was who was pretty much tied with, I think it was exactly tied with Devil Tifa for the lead at one point, has dropped back a little bit, partly because of this Kirby time. This is, almost a minute off some of the top finishes for Kirby, so it will be hard to recover from this situation, but they're still in the top 10, and remember those stars for top 10, top 3, and first place are all out there.
Yeah. Pick and Pulse got a great time here, 12:41. They got on the first race a 14:47, and bopped Ghostess for that 10th place. So it's it's going to be intense for Ghostess to come back in that top 10 to get the star on their player cards. Andy Shepard can do it, but they have to pull amazing times and hope that and pray that the other runners get bad time on Lawnmower and Minit maybe. So it's going to be very difficult. For Devil Tifa, they're fairly in the lead by now, 8 points, and that should be that's one more point than after Lawnmower. KTH got 197 on Kirby and 198 for Devil Tifa. So it's very close, but those 6 seconds of difference matter a lot. So next up is going to be Minit, Lebref, Sogitus, and Dovahkill have not yet finished the run for Kirby. Dovahkill got a 15:06 on the first race. Sogitus got a 12:58. So that's pretty weird of them not to have finished yet.
Yeah, sometimes things happen, pop up or whatever, and you're not quite able to finish, for reasons outside of the game. But maybe something like this has happened. I'm hoping everything's okay on Sagi Tucson, because they're on my team in the UD team tournament that is also happening right now for fun. The players have teamed up into teams of 5 and are playing 5 of the UD games. Lawnmower, Minit, Kirby are all part of it. Also Neo Turf Masters and Trackmania. And so each team fields 2 players on each game, and everyone scores points each week. Whoever has the most points in the game wins that game. Whoever wins the most games out of the 5 wins that round. We're both on teams. I think we both lost, it came down to the final match in both of our... Yeah. So not quite, but very close. It did.
We did not start the second week's races quite yet on our team. We don't know if we go for the same games, because it's the same 5 games the second week. So we don't know if we do the same matchups or if we switch things around. But apparently you are going to race on Neo Turf Master and Lawnmower. So best of luck to you.
I'll need it for both, probably. I might be doing one of those after this broadcast at some point. But yeah, it should be good. Our team was talking about, we were looking at the other team and trying to figure out their strengths and weaknesses and how we should change our. And I was like, this is pretty fun, actually, to try to think about those things and line it up. Really leveraging the team part of the team tournament. Why not? If we're going to do this thing, let's do it right. So yeah, it was pretty fun. It's pretty good to. It's a really fun idea to recruit people who are maybe they're not so good at most of the games, but they've got one game they're really good at. Yeah. You could have a spot on my team as the ace for Trackmania or whatever, right? So to give a place for players like that is really cool. I think are we going to try to get the finals of team tournament restreamed? I don't know. There was playing around with the idea.
I think we are going to do that. We don't know yet if we're going to push it a little further. 1 week after week 3, do we do one 4th week before the finals, or do we do? And how do we do the finals? It's yet to be decided. Kontos is doing the planning for that, the team tournaments, and Kontos has a ton of ideas, so we are going to do something, and I hope we're going to be able to stream it. But before that, we have to come back to Minit, obviously. Went perfectly, to be honest, for Mollyman on the first race, and for many runners. Any time under 7:30 is insanely good, and KTH and Mollyman and Penguin got there. And 8, 9, 10 people got sub 8, which is insane.
Yeah, that is a very, very good time for this game. Your first breakpoint is the 9-minute mark. I feel like that's you know the run. You're not doing you're not getting the flashlight. You're following the route, and then 8 minutes is you actually you really ran this game. You've sort of hit the 200 point mark here. Is you have to really work for that. So to see so many people get there still pretty early on into the season is really cool. The achievements steered players towards this game around week 2, I think it was. So it's been on a lot of people's radar for a little bit now, but that's still not a lot of time to get to a pretty high level in this game.
Yeah. Everybody, like Ghost Death, Mollyman, and Andy Shepard, I think those swords mean that they've just done one run, like on a practice run, right before the race starts. So it's so short, it's so easy to squeeze one run between two races here, and they should be fairly well practiced. So we'll see. I need to set up split for that game. I did not run with splits until now, and it's one of those games where you really need indication on where you lost time, because I don't get it. I don't get where the time goes. Sometimes I look at the in-game timer, and I'm like, I should be 10 seconds faster than that. What happened? I did the exact same thing. But here we go. Minit is about to start, and we'll see if it goes as well or even better for Ghost Death, Mollyman, Kontos, and Andy Shepard.
It's been. I would like to say everyone is frame perfect right now as like a joke, as it just started, but honestly, it's probably not. You have to hit the input here after picking up an item. You can see it says press A to continue. You need to hit that input on kind of a weird timing to it, and so very easy to lose a bit of time. Here's this dark room that was such a problem for Ghost Death and Andy Shepard. It's not a problem for Mollyman, not a problem for Kontos.
And Ghost Death
Andy Shepard is through, and Ghost Death. Nice. First try for all the players, so very well done. Passing by the bull here, it's potential to kill this bull and get an extra heart. It takes, I don't know, like 3 seconds maybe, and will give you some extra safety for the rest of the run, but everyone's passing it up.
I like getting the extra heart for races. It just means that the boss fight is so much safer. So it's a good thing, in my opinion, during races. Kontos went for the stranger in the desert first and then goes to the oasis, so the time difference is not as big as you'd think. They kill the ghost, get the sword throwing glove. I don't know exactly what that is, but now they all can throw their swords at enemies. And they're not going to use it that much, except for certain very specific enemies, the crabs, and the boss fight at the end, obviously.
Yeah, it's just a baseball glove. I like the idea that the only thing preventing you from using your sword like a boomerang is that you don't have anything to catch it with. But now you do, so of course you could throw your sword like a boomerang now. Mollyman is the player in the lead by a little bit here. Kontos' route in the desert, I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same. I mean, you're resetting immediately after getting both items, so it should be the same. The only thing I could think of is maybe the Oasis Ghost pattern is different, maybe, but it seemed the same to me. So
the only difference is that you don't want to reset your timer because it takes one extra input. So it's safer to go for the stranger in the desert first, because it takes less time than killing the ghost, but it doesn't matter at all actually, so it's exactly the same. Mollyman gets to the hotel about like 10 seconds before Andy Shepard here. Ghost Death and Kontos are actually far back. I don't know what happened to them, but now Mollyman is on one of the most RNG part of the game. You want the guy here to stay close to you, exactly like Mollyman did, and got lucky here. And then the cold hot game here, getting warmer and warmer. You want to squeeze the crate in between the rock and the plant here, but if you have to, you can destroy it with a sword, your sword, but it's going to take a little bit of time. Ghost Death takes a weird route here and is going to lose a little bit of time, I think. And takes a little bit extra time to adjust the crate, and loses even more seconds. Mollyman is far in the lead in the black cave here, going to aim at the bombs.
this game is kind of fun because you've got that timer in the top left, and as well as the running timer with even more precision in the top right. But you can kind of take a look at how they're doing on each split, comparing when they get to each part based off of how the timer is in the top left. So I was looking at that as everyone was doing the block pushing puzzle, and Mollyman was like 3, maybe 4 seconds ahead of pretty much everyone else through that sort of split. So is doing really well, at least at that part in the game, but obviously is in the lead currently, so is doing very well overall. Is taking a hit swimming through the polluted river. You need to be right up against the bridge, I think, to avoid taking 2 hits there, but it does save a little bit of time to go ahead and swim through the gunk instead of taking across the bridge that he worked so hard to create.
I like. There's a lot of irony in that speedrun and a lot of humor in the game overall. A lot of things that are meaning just because it's a video game and the game makes fun of that. And oh no, Ghost Death got the 2 crates
the worst.
stuck. You want to push the 2 crates at the same time, but you want to keep 1 pixel so you can push the first one and then the second one. And if you get the crate stuck, you're going to die and lose an entire minute here. Sadly, they have to go back from the hotel back to the crate to machine and push it again, and they get it. They go very, very safe. Don't push the crates at the same time, so they're sure they'll do it. Meanwhile, Mollyman is almost done already, going to the final section in the game, going to get rid of his sword here.
He's cutting it pretty close. He missed the doorway, and then he missed destroying the generator, but looks like he's going to have 6 whole seconds left, which is kind of a lot in this game, to get his sword stuck in there. And now it's time to do it basically all over again with a different sprite. Water can in hand instead of the sword. I don't think you swing the sword once and on your way here, so it really is just the same thing twice. Oh, I guess you do it when you actually break things with the sword, of course. But Kantos, you can see here, is going to have 3 seconds left on the timer for this section, so lost 3 seconds to Mollyman. Where? I don't know. Go ahead and try to figure it out, and then tell me, because I can't.
It's very weird, and well, all those top-down adventure game have very, very weird optimization. A Link to the Past is insane in that regard. Just going on the first segment to the Master Sword, you're going to lose so much time just to tiny movement and of diagonals and stuff, and it's the same thing in minutes. Mollyman starts the boss fight. They're going to die intentionally and get rid of the first phase here. You have to guess a little bit because we don't see much, but on the second phase, the sword you can hit are going to shine in the dark, and you want to group up the swords, so they're going to move away from you, and if you have very, very tight movement, you can group them up and have a nice end of the second phase here. And,
yeah. It's not so easy to do, especially because you don't want to touch the edges where the swords are pointy and will hurt you. But you do kind of need to cycle around the outside of the room if you want to push the swords. Andy Shepard's doing a little bit of it here. He's got 2 in the top right and 2 in the bottom left. Unfortunately, it doesn't help too much unless you really do have all of them grouped. You're kind of trying to minimize the greatest distance between any 2 swords. So as long as one of them is pretty far away from any other, it's not really going to do you any good until you get all of them very close together. Mollyman looked to be finishing under 8 minutes.
It's a very good time for Mollyman. It's even faster than on the first race, and that's exactly what they needed. 7:27 for Mollyman. We're going to have the confirmation on the screen right now. Yep, 2 seconds faster than the first race, and they're going to be fairly pleased with that. That's exactly what they need to get back in the competition for first place. Ghost Death has lost a lot of time in that in that segment where they got stuck. So they're going to be about 45 minutes or even a minute behind Mollyman there.
Andy Shepherd is throwing that sword, does manage to get the last one down, and hits a menu. I'm pretty sure that's fine. I'm pretty sure that the timer's still paused there, so he's going to be able to unpause, get his time, and everything's going to be fine. We can see it as a 7:55 for Kontos. We can take a look and see what other time these other guys are going to get, assuming they hit the button and advance the timer. But
they wanted to get like a synchronized finish.
Nice, yeah. The nice synchronization there. Ghost Death by a nose, actually, it turns out, not quite. They will type in and upload their official times. 8:23 for Ghost Death, 8:16 for Andy Shepherd is the time that's going to count for the leaderboard. And we'll find out how these guys stack up against everyone else racing. And it looks like Devil Tifa... No, wait, there's nothing on the board just yet. But they'll come in any second now. I was about to say, he keeps his 8-point lead over KT. Well, who knows? We're going to find out. There we go.
So, nope, not even only 5 points anymore. Over 1,000 points in 5 games for Devil Tifa, lots of times. Running in. KTH, Mollyman, Devil Tifa got a nice edge over the other runners. Like it feels like it's impossible to get back in top 3 now. But third and sixth and final game is Lawnmower. But Pickup Pulse and Ghost Death both hop in the top 10. Yeah, many runners did not submit their times yet, so we'll see how it pans out. Lil might still doing great, but we're not able to get sub 8 on that run. Kontos and Mollyman showing off a little bit on those races as we stream them, getting 3rd and 4th place on that tournament. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we the greatest thing we look for when we pick who is going to be on the restream is that everyone's close together. So we might show the top 4, we might show the bottom 4. It doesn't really matter as long as everyone's close and kind of gives us a good show. But it always is nice to see when our good show is doing as well overall as everyone is. Clearly, Mollyman and Kontos are killing it up in 3rd and 4th, and Ghost Death and Andy Shepherd are... One of them is in the top 10. The other is knocking on the door. Needs a really, really good lawnmower, though. But this is something that can happen. Lawnmower it's rare, certainly, but you can just do it. You can just not hit the rocks, not hit the flowers, and then suddenly you've got a PB by a minute or something, right? So, of course, the opposite can happen for your opponents. So, too early to call this, I think. Andy Shepherd still has very much a very real shot of getting into top 10, and that same shot could go the other way for Ghost Death, Mollyman, or KTH. It might be. It's pretty hard to knock Mollyman and Kontos out of top 10 at this point. But Ghost Death is right on the cusp, so all too easy can he fall to the lawnmower.
Well, we'll see. Lawnmower is a crazy game, and this crazy intro, we're going to enjoy it once more. So it's all about keeping control of that lawnmower, but it's going to go wild and escape pretty much. The runners are letting go a lot of the A button. They are going slowly and making a lot of good decisions. We've seen Mollyman playing it slow where it mattered the most, and they've got a very good time on the first race. Sub 10 is crazy good, but Devil Tifa got sub 7, and we'll see if they can replicate that. If they just cannot finish the game, I would not be surprised after an hour and 40 minutes here to see a runner not able to beat a lawnmower. Because it's a tough game.
Devil Tifa's lawnmower PB, according to the website that everyone uploads their times to, ultimatedecathlon.com/en, or English speakers, !UD7, we'll get you the link. 11:17 was Devil Tifa's previous personal best. So an improvement of 4 minutes, an improvement of like 40% off is if you were to buy this PB in a store, I guess. Is an incredible accomplishment in a race. So I didn't fully grasp just how crazy Devil Tifa's run was from the previous match. So we'll be hard pressed to replicate something of equal strength here today. But he's not on stream. Ghost Death, Monument, Kontos, and D Shepherd are all of them playing for a little star. We'll give him a little star. It'll be a different color depending on what place you get. Some of our players are maybe going to get one of these silver stars for top 3, but any of them could walk away with the white star for getting top 10. So let's find out.
Alright, level 1, nothing to kill you, no problem. Fuel will spawn where the grass has not yet been cut. And Kontos finishes first, second is Mollyman, and it doesn't matter at all actually. Level 1 will cost you or save you frames, and that's not where you're going to win or lose the race. And the Shepherd having a nice little round, Kontos, sorry, having a nice little route and go around at the end of level 2. Done in first place, Mollyman second, and the Shepherd third, fourth actually, and goes the third. And Kontos immediately dies, cutting the flowers in level 3, sadly.
Mollyman has the same opener that I do actually for level 3, which introduces the rocks, and the rocks they're in a formation here where you need to do a full circle around every single one. So maximum potential to accidentally turn too early and go over this thing. So you want to try to minimize the number of times you take turns near something that will kill you, basically. If you can have it in your route, for example, that you approach like this line of flowers in the middle, that's 4 across. If you try to turn next to it and you turn too early, you're likely going to go across all 4, and that's pretty much guaranteed death. So you could have a route so that you come at these flowers, you're already lined up next to them, but you're very far away, and you just come in and drive past them, and you don't have to worry about turning anywhere near them. It's probably not the most efficient to route that way, but it is a lot safer. So there is some trade-offs to be made on how you even approach your route even before the game has started. So it is there's a surprising amount of strategy to this stupid lawn mowing game.
I like what it does. Like, it's so easy to understand and to talk about routing, and lots of games have very, very tight routing elements, but and consideration, like what's the safest? How do I not turn near to a rock? But like, say any Metroidvania game have lots of routing and lots of consideration, and it's so easy to see and to visualize on Lawnmower. Yeah, okay, my route, my speedrun route and my execution route directly decides how much risk I'm going to take, or if I'm ever going to succeed or not, and if I'm going to save time or not. And a lot of time you have a set route in mind and you don't nearly succeed, and either you immediately die and lose a bunch of time, or you have to adapt and react quickly, and that's the trickiest part about Lawnmower.
I'm really glad that I remembered to correctly set the game to Lawnmower, because now we are getting a lot of people from Twitch who are clicking on it and are being exposed to the first time to Lawnmower. It really is a game about mowing a lawn. It's very hard to communicate why this game is fun or hard or evil or perfect for a race, or we're trying our best, and we've said it in plenty of ways already, but the easiest way to truly understand this game is to just go play it. Just go play it. It's a homebrew game, so I have no qualms in telling you to go search online for this game just called Lawnmower. Download that ROM, and it's very rarely that I get to say this here on Speed Gaming. To just encourage publicly people to go download ROMs, but go download that ROM and just play it. Just play it, and you will understand. Oh, you will understand in your bones just how difficult and evil this game can be.
Yeah, it is fairly easy to find, and finding a good NES emulator is no problem as well, and it's pretty cool to be able to feature the homebrew community that strives to create good games for the NES still since 90. When was the first homebrew? Probably like very early in the NES game, as soon as the emulators were working, so probably early 2000s. Mollyman gets to level 9 and has a very weird patterns that always trigger me a little bit, but they're playing very safe, trying to do the least amount of turn near rocks as they can, but you have to in level 9.
Oh yeah, good point from Oh no, 3 flowers mode. That's a common thing that can happen. Mollyman barely able to save himself another 3 flowers on Nether. Barely. He's getting some good luck from these gas can spawns. These are random anywhere you've already mowed grass. So if he had, for example, gone all the way to the right side of the screen and mowed that whole strip, he creates a decent chance that a gas can spawns over there. And if it did, he'd be dead twice over by now. So part of his routing has played to his advantage here and has allowed him to recover from these pretty bad mistakes. Recovering from 3 flowers or 1 rock is about the limit in this game. If you go over 2 rocks, you're dead. If you go over 4 flowers, you're dead. You need like an instant spawn right on top of you. Otherwise, you're just not going to get there in time. So some of the worst mistakes you can make in Lawnmower and Mollyman, recovering from them. So very nice to see is already on Lawn 10. The timer is already at 6 minutes, so we could be seeing a potentially 7-minute time from Mollyman, and that would be huge.
Mollyman has very precise movement, very nice like zigzagging patterns like right now, and sometimes just like I don't know if the input doesn't register or if something breaks in just their movement, but they will just run like 3 flowers in a row. It's super weird, and it shows how badly this game controls. Very nice, very good time. This is going to be insane to beat. Like that probably secures Mollyman first place, except if Devil Tifa gets another weird PB. But this is an insane time by Mollyman. 6:40 or so. It's I don't know how. Once again, I don't know how you do that.
Yep, it is my dream to one day have a time like this in Lawnmower. Plenty of slowing down to take some of these turns, but the mowing was very efficient and no deaths. So also a bit of good luck on some of those fuel can spawns. No! Oh my goodness, Ghost Death! No,
2 flowers in a row just before the can. Oh my god! And
I have never seen a game where there are so many not frame perfect, but very precise windows that you have to hit in order to not lose like a minute, right? Plenty of games have tight moments like this. This entire run is like this. You are constantly on the edge of a knife, and if you slip even a little bit, you lose like a minute. What kind of game is this? Oh, it's
and it's not even tricks. It's just a game. It's not like speedrun specifics. It's how you have to play. And that's why when you play the game for the first time, it took me about like an hour and 30 minutes. I'm not sure exactly how long it was, but it was insanely long. Took me about 20 minutes to beat level 7, I remember. And then it's fairly rare to have a game where the first playthrough is so much more than the speedrun.
Yeah, and it's not a game that's like a Metroidvania where you're exploring or like solving puzzles. It's literally just 10 levels of this incredibly simple, straightforward game. That some of the top blind speedrunners, racers, around 20 minutes, I guess, is where they usually end up. I was around 30 minutes. I'm pretty happy with that time. But it's pretty normal for people to end up around that hour mark, like you said. So Kanto's just about to finish lawn number 9. Andy Shepherd still has a little more than half to go here, so is cleaning up some of the middle, which is going to increase fuel can spawns in the middle, likely within reach. And is going pretty slow in some spots here.
I like how tidy the lawn was. They could have, the game could have been like, it's either you low or you mow everything, or you get a nice pattern that gets you the finish. Because, I don't know, you should not have to go through those rocks in between. You could let some grass and, be that your lawn have some higher spots, and it'd be okay, be by design,
Yeah, if the true goal is just to make the lawn be aesthetically pleasing, there should be a number of possible solutions. Yeah, he's gonna. If he had got a frame perfect spawn, he could have recovered there, but did not. And the odds at that point are extremely low, having mowed most of the level. Which of course means he loses even more time when it finally does go wrong. I kind of admire that he, dealing with the corners on the smiley face in the middle here, they're annoying, right? You have to do a little sharp zigzag thing in there. It's annoying, so he just jokers the corners right off that thing. It's effective.
Yeah, if it works, it works. I mean, it takes them a little bit of time because they have to use one extra can, but it means that they also don't die while trying to actually do the little jigsaw part. So I don't know. It's pretty difficult to time and to say what's the effective strat in this game.
Decision time. Is Kanto's going to finish? Nice. He's going for it. He gets it. It can be terrifying. Hell done is right. Andy Shepherd made the decision to go get the fuel here. Yeah, this is a lot of back and forth trying to do this in one go. In fact, he's going to go get even more fuel here. Oh God! Oh, you can feel it. He can do it. He can do it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, if someone can get me the mileage on those mower, if you consider an average length of a mower being I don't know, maybe 4 foot or something, and then you consider that you have to get 1 fuel can, an average can being a gallon maybe. I don't know how efficient those are, but you probably don't want to do New York, LA on those mower. And apparently Devil Thief never finished. Oh wow.
Did he really just get the 7-minute time and then was like, good enough for me, I'm out. Never again.
I'm never playing this game anymore. I don't know.
Mid-tournament, did he just bail?
Could be the case, actually.
We were talking about, we were kind of guessing at what his motivations were for playing this season. This might shine some light on it, or maybe he just forgot to do it, or hasn't done it yet, or whatever. But assuming Devil Tiva doesn't upload a time, we're likely looking at a tie for first place between our on-screen champion Mulliman and lawnmower world record holder KTH.
That's impressive. Mulliman getting a 640. That's probably their PB, I would guess.
It's gotta be.
It's a 635, so very close to PB. But it's not their first time going solo on lawnmower. And I don't know what happened with Devil Tifa. I hope they submit a time. But if they don't, that means 2 gold stars, 1 for KTH and 1 for Mollyman, and a silver star for Penguin. But time goes by, and once again, I'm not surprised to see someone deciding, nope, I'm not playing that game twice in a row. It's okay. And UD is all about taking what you like, and if you like all the 10 games, or if you like racing the 10 games, then it's for you. And and it's all for fun. So I do understand, but it breaks my heart a little bit to see the Ultifan's name on the 15th place here, not with no time on Lawnmower.
Well, we do get to look at some of the names that did make top 10. Ghost Death did hold on to one of his top 10 positions. Little Mai, one of our champions from a previous tournament. Sylph Shady did very well. Last season was one of the people in contention for the wildcard spot, if I'm not mistaken. Jaikin is a new runner who's kind of now on my radar a little bit, but Pika Pals is the name I know from Mystery Tournament. We had Blasphemous Roar actually also involved with Mystery Tournament, was in here cheering for him, and they rocketed up to 5th place off of a very good minute time, and the only person of 3. No, that doesn't make sense. One of 3 people to get a 200-point time in Lawnmower on this race here. So very, very strong back half from Pika Pals to get the top 5, just outside top 3 to get that star. And Molgames also as well cracked the top 10 by 17 points or so over Mooney.
Yeah, Pika Pals' previous PB on Lawnmower was 10:07. Previous PB on Minit was 7:26. I don't think they beat that. Now 7:54. And on Kirby, they were at 12:55. So overall, very close or PB on all games. And Devoltifa got a 14.
He was racing.
15.
He just had a really bad run. This is double the time of his previous run. That is Lawnmower in a nutshell. Also, this pushes Molgames out of top 10, actually.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Ghost Death holds on. And Devil Tifa out of the top 3, actually.
I have almost like no other example of games where sometimes you get PB and sometimes you double. Like, we've seen some games where it's brutal. Inertia was one of those during UD6. Like, sometimes a runner would get like 8 minutes, and sometimes it goes wrong, and very wrong, and it's like 12 minutes, so that's plus 50%. That's a lot of time, but doubling is like another world of hurt. Like, I don't know how that's even possible.
Vicious game is Lawnmower. Only a few have emerged victorious here over the game. I mean, I guess it all depends where your standards are, really. I would be thrilled with like a 9-minute time in a race.
Yeah, anything sub 10 to me is like, in a race, like, no problem, don't sweat it. I don't even have time to get frustrated. Except if I do like perfect 1 to 9 and then get stuck on 10 maybe for 4 minutes, I would get frustrated. But except for that, sub 10 is very good. And KTH got twice over 200 points, so maybe KTH actually understands Lawnmower better than anyone else. I know they love those precision and different games. They were at world record, or I don't know if they're currently second place, but on Kuru Rin, which is one of those other weird games that are easy to understand but very hard to master with very precise movement. So it makes sense. Yeah, congrats to them to be able to be so consistent, and that pays off for today. Today, Lawnmower was a third of the entire result. In the future UD tournament should be a little bit less, up until it's only a 10th. But for now, they can rest on a nice gold star shared with Mollyman.
I was going to be able to count on the number of gold stars to count the number of weeks and the number of tournaments we've had, but we're giving out an extra one today due to this tie that we've had. It does mean one less silver star out there, actually, though. We're not going to, third place for Penguin, not second. Devil Tifa gets 4th, not 3rd, unfortunately. But overall, fantastic performance from everyone, all the way down to top 20 or whatever. These are solid times across all these games, and we're still pretty early in. Like, to put it in context, most of the people here have been learning somewhere between 7 and 10 new speedruns over the course of 3 weeks and some change. So it's really not a lot of time to get good at these games, but these people did. They got real good, and they proved it here today.
Yes. Next up in the UD, we are going to have tournaments and races on Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon at 2 p.m. EST, and on next Saturday at 11 a.m. EST. So plenty of nice things. We are going to have The Messenger and Mega Man on Tuesday. Fun elimination tournaments on very short burst on Minit, Neo Turf Master and Trackmania on Wednesday, and 4 different games, I don't remember the list, on Saturday, plus the team tournaments that we have to practice for, Mythical, and we cannot get beaten again, and the achievements. We can count on those white stars to count the number of weeks. We are currently in week 4. If you want to join in, it's never too late, so you can get on and get with us, learning all those games and have fun, I guess, learning Lawnmower and all other games. And if you want more speedruns, it's only Sunday afternoon, so plenty of more runs coming your way on Speed Gaming.
That's right. We've got Wind Waker Randomizer coming up in about an hour. Actually, there's a bit of a gap here, so when we're done here, go get a snack, go get lunch or whatever, then come back for Wind Waker Randomizer or Super Mario Bros. 3 Randomizer. We've also got the Super Mario Odyssey Darker Side tournament and Kirby's Dreamland. Actually, if you want some more of that, there's a tournament ongoing for that, as well as a Link to the Past daily, of course, Donkey Kong Country 3 and Aria of Sorrow Randomizer, all coming up on Speed Gaming !schedule. We'll get you the schedule for everything happening on the channel, and you can go there and figure it out, because there's always so much happening that it does take a little bit of figuring to figure it out. Or you could just follow the channels and then come whenever you see something that's on that you like, and that means maybe you liked this, and we'll see you again next time.
Yeah, I sure hope so. Have a good one, and UD is keeping on going and growing. All those runners are getting crazy good times, so we'll see what happens on The Messenger and Mega Man on Tuesday. See you then.